And welcome to Hannity. Now, Donald Trump is one step closer towards securing the Republican nomination after sweeping all 5 races last night in the battle for the East and the Mid-Atlantic. And tonight, the Republican candidates are descending on the state of Indiana, where 57 very important delegates are now up for grabs on the GOP side. Donald Trump was in the Hoosier State earlier today campaigning with legendary basketball coach, the one and only Bobby Knight. Take a look.
You know, normally they come out, they introduce Trump. Here, I'm coming out, and I'm going to introduce Bobby Knight, okay?
And they talk about, you know, he isn't presidential. I don't know what the hell that means. I think the most important thing in the world is that we vote for the best man there is for this job, and you've already met him.
We had a big night last night. We had five. Oh, we're going to build that wall, and you know who's going to pay for that wall?
And earlier today, Senator Ted Cruz made a big announcement announcing that Carly Fiorina would be his choice for vice president if he should win the nomination. Watch this.
Carly is a vice presidential nominee who I believe is superbly skilled, superbly gifted at helping unite this party, bring us together so we stand united as one.
This fight is about far more than a ticket. This fight is about far more than Ted Cruz and Carly Fiorina. This is a fight for all of us. For our party, for our future, for our children's future.
Here now with reaction, the author of the New York Times bestseller Duplicity, former Speaker of the House, Fox News contributor Newt Gingrich. Mr. Speaker, good to see you. Big day today.
It's good to see you. Well, it is a big day, and actually I'm talking to you from Purdue, where I'm also involved in giving a talk and seeing what's happening in Indiana. All
right, well, let's talk about Indiana. Let's start with Ted Cruz's announcement. Carly Fiorina. I thought Carly, by the way, was a great candidate. She aggressively was able to prosecute the case against Hillary Clinton, I think stronger than some of her male counterparts. Does this help Ted Cruz?
Oh, I think at the margin it might help him. Carly Fiorina is a very smart person. She understands technology and the evolution of the modern world probably as well as anybody running for president in either party. I thought she was very effective on the debate stage. You know, and this is a little bit parallel to what Ronald Reagan tried in 1976 when he was trailing Gerald Ford, and so he announced his vice presidential choice. Didn't happen to work, but it was, again, throwing a Hail Mary pass at the last moment of the game. I think Cruz, by doing this, is a little daring. You know, if you lose 5 states, to come back the next day and announce your vice presidential nominee may not be the best timing. But you can understand why. He's got to shake the game up, and this was a serious effort to try to shake up the game, because if it keeps going the way it is now, he will lose and Trump will be the nominee.
Let's talk about Donald Trump's reaction in a town hall earlier today with our colleague and friend Greta Van Susteren. He was asked about this move by Ted Cruz. Here's what he said.
Well, I think it's really a waste of time, honestly. I think that it should be over. If Indiana treats us right, we're going to make America great again. We're going to get rid of these politicians, and we're going to do the right job. I just think it's so early in the process. You have to first get the nomination. Here's a guy picking a vice presidential candidate. He has 0 chance. He has no path. It's sort of crazy. So I think it's, well, it gets him in the news cycle because he's been totally taken out. You know, he had a horrible day yesterday, and he came in third, meaning 3rd out of 3 most of the time. Most of the, I guess 4 out of 5, he was 3rd. And he picked up no delegates. And, you know, you're talking about major states like Pennsylvania, like Maryland. I mean, we're talking about big stuff. And Connecticut. He came in, he got nothing. And I think he wanted to do something to get out of that negative cycle. And in that sense, it was probably good for him, but people will not like it.
Now, the Trump delegate count is at 950. Let me ask you this question. But it also seems, remember, he won 17 bound delegates in Pennsylvania, but there were 54 unbound delegates. My analysis today gets him at least 40 more of the 54 available. So it brings him very close to 1,000. Is that now unbeatable, in your opinion?
Well, I don't know that it's totally unbeatable. Again, everybody's allowed to play out the game, whether it's basketball and you're in the last seconds of the fourth quarter, or it's football and you're right down to the end of the game. You still get to play. And the team that's behind still gets its at-bat in the ninth inning. But the fact is, Trump is way ahead. Probably better than a 90% likelihood he's going to be the nominee now. And I think you find that there are people who analyze this every single day who are reaching a conclusion. He overperformed yesterday. He got at least 40 more delegates than he needed to be on track to get the nomination. If he wins Indiana, it is for all practical purposes over because at that point you've closed out anybody else being able to stop him. And I think even if he only gets a third of the delegates in Indiana, he is still on track to get the nomination.
Yeah. Let's talk about, so many people have said they want to see Donald Trump a little more presidential. He gave a foreign policy speech today. Serious, significant speech. Here's part of it. Get your reaction.
And then there's ISIS. I have a simple message for them. Their days are numbered. I won't tell them where, and I won't tell them how. We have to be unpredictable. And we have to be unpredictable starting now. But they're going to be gone. ISIS will be gone if I'm elected president, and they'll be gone quickly. They will be gone very, very quickly.
He also talked about China. He talked about Russia. He talked about radical Islam. He talked about building up our nation's military, taking care of our veterans. It was long. It was substantive. A relationship with Israel and other countries. What were your thoughts on it?
Well, I read the speech on the way out here, and I saw part of it at the airport waiting for the plane. And first of all, I thought on television, he looked presidential, he looked serious, he looked controlled, and overall I thought it was a good presentation. The speech itself is a very serious speech, and I think you're going to find it ridiculed by some of the Washington establishment, in part because it challenges so many of their assumptions. But I think his challenges are pretty useful. He has a very bold view of Russia and China, something which will startle all of the traditional, anti-Russian, anti-Chinese mantra. But what he's saying is pretty straightforward, which is the first stage ought to be, is there a way to get to a relationship that is friendlier rather than more hostile? Now, that's kind of the opposite of what people would have expected him to say a year ago, and tells you that he's been thinking about the U.S.'s role in the world, and how do you end this cycle now running for 15 years of us losing young men and women in wars that don't get won, don't accomplish anything, and leave us, frankly, a weaker country and a country that's mired down in a number of places. And I think he's trying to wrestle with that.
It's a very complicated issue. It's frustrating to me when 5,000 Americans get killed, Iraq, Afghanistan, many thousands more injured. They win Mosul, Fallujah, Ramadi, and Tikrit, and then we give back the land. And then ISIS takes it over. Or 58,000 people in Vietnam are killed, and then we pull out because all of these wars then get argued through the prism of Washington politics. We don't fight these wars to win them anymore. I don't think we can risk American treasure and lose that treasure going forward any further. Do you?
Well, a large part of what Trump said on that topic is exactly what Reagan said in 81, 82. What was called at that time the Weinberger Doctrine, which is you don't go to war unless you're going to win. If you do go to war, you go to war with overwhelming force. He's clearly sending a very clear signal. He's going to rebuild the American military, which it desperately needs. His report on the decline in the size of the military, the size of the Navy, the size of the Air Force, how old some of our equipment is, all those things are, I think, very, very solid. And I think that you're going to see somebody here who wants to, this is complicated for the news media and for the Washington elites to understand. He wants to rebuild American strength to minimize the need to use it, on the grounds that if you're overwhelmingly powerful, people don't come and play with you.
That's the
Reagan
Reagan
doctrine. They recognize
doctrine.
you're going to win.
Yeah.
That's the Reagan doctrine.